I'm going live. Here we go again. Hey there, good afternoon. This is Hoang with Hand Therapy Secrets, and coming on to talk to you today about what you need or can do if you're looking to study for the CHT exam, right? So if you're looking to study for the CHT exam, this is a perfect live video for you. So I hope you join me. If you're an occupational therapist or a physical therapist and you're interested in hands and you're interested in becoming a certified hand therapist, you're in the right space. My name is Hoang, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about how to create a plan to study so that you're not overwhelmed. It's one of the biggest and one of the biggest things when people are studying for the exam. They easily get overwhelmed because, I mean, let's face it, it's a big exam. It's quote unquote hard, and I'm not gonna lie, it is difficult, right? It takes effort. It's not impossible to do. If I can do it the way I see it, if I can do it, I think that you could do it too. But there's a lot of topics to cover. There are things to keep in mind and consider. I definitely think that it takes effort and it takes time to study. I know people who've told me, oh, they've taken it like just to see if they can pass it by barely studying, or because they have the years of experience, they've taken the exam like it's like a Hail Mary, right? It's like, it's like a Hail Mary, and they just see, oh, let me see how close I get, let me see what my score is. But I don't think I've heard of anyone who's done that and actually passed, because it does take effort and there's a lot of things that you need to learn and you need to know in detail, right? One of the most common things I often talk about is how to critically think through a particular problem when it comes your way. And you're like, well, how can I solve it? I just had a trigger finger come in today, and it wasn't just a trigger finger, right? It wasn't just a trigger finger. But how do you know to look? Like, how do you know where to look? How do you even know what it is? And then how would you essentially treat it? And then what happens if it doesn't get better? What's the second order consequence to that? And then what after that? So, when it comes to studying to become a certified hand therapist, it takes effort, it takes work. And if you're ready to put that work in, then my name is Hoang. I'm an occupational therapist, certified hand therapist. We're right here in my clinic. If anyone follows me on both my spaces, I was just on live talking about arthritis for my clinic. But here I am talking to you guys about what it really takes to become a certified hand therapist and what you could do, right? So let's create this plan together. If you have questions, by all means, type it in the chat and let me know what your questions are, right? How do you create a plan where you can study for the CHT exam without feeling completely overwhelmed? There's a strategy, there's a tactic, there's a plan that you could take action on that will make your life easier. If you want to hear about it, by all means, stay tuned, right? Stay tuned. So, one of the biggest number one questions that you have to ask yourself, and you have to ask yourself this. I'm going to ask you, but you have to be the one to answer. And if you want, you could tell me your answer. Just type it in the chat. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Type it in. It's when do I want to become a certified hand therapist? So when I have staff, when I have therapists come in and join my team here at my clinic, it's one of the first things that I ask them. When do you want to become a certified hand therapist? The way I've set up my clinic and the type of patients that I help, and the people I serve, the doctors, the people in the community that I serve, we provide very specialized care. And I'm looking for that. And I'm looking for people who are looking for the same thing. So I hope we could find each other. But I want to know, when do you want to become a certified hand therapist? Because when you want to become a certified hand therapist is when you'll take the action, right? So, right? Yes. When do you want to become a certified hand therapist? No. So, You can be, sometimes people come in, they're like, oh, maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year, whichever one it is, let's create a plan around that, right? These questions that I'm about to ask, they require you to be honest with yourself. Like, you can lie to through your teeth to your friends, to your coworkers, whatever, but please, by all means, don't lie to yourself, right? Don't lie to yourself. One of the biggest um, things that degrade your confidence and your self-esteem is when you lie to yourself about what you're going to do and what you want, right? So don't. It literally can be that simple. So don't lie to yourself. When do you want to become a certified hand therapist, right? There's absolutely no point in lying to yourself. So when do you want to become a certified hand therapist? Write that down for your neighbor, and then draw a line in the sand, right? So that's one thing. When do you want to take the exam? You think that that's the same question, but it's not. It's not the same question, right? So, when do I want to become a certified hand therapist, right? That just kind of gets the juices flowing. But when you get really down to the nitty gritty, is when do you want to take the exam, right? So here are your three choices, right? A is November of 2022. B, May of 2023. And C, later because I'm not yet qualified. D is I'm not sure, right? So answer that question for yourself, right? If you want to take it in November 2022, if you want to take it in May of 2023, I can help you right now, right? We can help you right now. And if you're later, you're not yet qualified, or you're not really sure, this conversation might not be as meaningful. Since I'm asking you to be honest with yourself, we might as well be honest with each other, right? So when I started, and I can only tell you really about my story, is when I started studying, I did a lot of the same things that other people have told me that they're doing, which is like way before you're qualified to sit for the exam, you think that you're going to just start studying, right? So if you're trying to get that job in hand therapy, and you're still 2 years away, 3 years away, you might not, it's not worth studying for. What it is worth doing is developing your skills, right? It is worth, if you have a distal radius fracture, then let's learn about distal radius fracture. Let's learn about what you're allowed to do. Let's learn about some of the complications, but you're learning from the treatment standpoint of like, what do I do right now? When you're ready to sit for the exam, you've got to dive in so much deeper that when you're so far away from the exam, it's just not worth it. If you're a brand new grad and you're trying to get that job in hand therapy and some therapist tells you, buy Rehab of the Handbook and read it so that you'll know what to do, that's a load of BS. I'm trying not to curse. We got people in the room, right? But don't get me hot and heavy about it. Because reading that book is challenging, it's overwhelming for even the most seasoned therapists, right? Even for someone who studies it all the time, it's hard to understand. It's hard to read. So if you're just learning anatomy, I wouldn't say go learn anatomy from Rehab of the Hand. It's quite complex. It's very dry. And you start there, you're going to leave it behind. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to understand. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to be able to use that information right away. So it can be extremely discouraging. So if you're trying to think about studying, like wait until you're a year out. And that's one of the things that I did. I told myself like, oh, I'm going to start studying like years before I was ready, to sit. It was 5 years. I didn't freaking study. It's so hard. Like you trying to do it by yourself. So hard. I started page 1 and put it down. So started page 2, fell asleep, and then everything else becomes more and more important than studying it. And that's okay. You're way too far out from the exam, one of the things I recommend is 1 year before the exam. So if you're looking at May of 2023, this is the month to get started. Really, honestly, this is the month to get started. And if you're looking at November of 2022, there's other questions that you should be asking. You should have already been started studying. You should have already been doing some stuff, but I hate shitting on people. So, there are some other questions that you could ask, right? So when do you want to take it? The choices are A and B, or the most favorable ones for you right now. So if you're picking A or B, then continue with me. So the second question that you're going to ask yourself is, what am I willing to do to get there? Right? Hard work doesn't just come by itself. When you decide to become a therapist, it didn't just come by, like, you didn't just sit in class and do nothing, pay your fees, and then got a degree at the other end. You have to put some work into it, right? You have to, semester to semester, had to do certain things to get through those classes to get your degree. The same has to essentially happen to become a certified hand therapist. Only this time you're adulting. Nobody is telling you to do anything. You have to want to do it by yourself, right? The key thing is you don't have to do it by yourself, but you have to want to put the effort in, right? So what am I willing to do to get there? So this part is a fill in the blank part. You're going to ask yourself these 3 questions, right? So you have to kind of know yourself, know what your schedule looks like, know what you're willing to kind of put effort in, or quote unquote sacrifice, right? So how much time do you have? Talking to people who, let's say you're single, you don't have any kids, right? Do you have time? Woo woo! I'm single and I don't have no kids. No, I'm not single. Please don't tell my husband. I am married. Could I save this live? I'm gonna try. I always save all my lives. Thank you for watching. Come back to it later. Share, like, and let your friends know. So how much time do you really have? Be honest with yourself. If you're single and you don't have any kids, you probably have more time than you think, right? But you might have different events that are coming up in your life. You might have family events. You might be getting married. You got to factor this shit in, right? But if you don't have anything that's stopping you, like, how fast can you go, right? This is a plan that you have to think about for yourself. If you are married with children, if you're single with children, if you've got lots of other responsibilities, for the most part, we're all freaking working full time, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I got 2 jobs. I got this job, and then I got the job of my clinic. So we're all working, which is such a great thing. I mean, don't take that for granted, because there was just 2 years ago when people were losing their jobs left and right, couldn't get hours because COVID hit, so I'm thankful. Like, every single time I have patients, every time I'm super busy, like, I'm super thankful that I've got work. And I think that as occupational therapists, and especially as certified hand therapists, we're always going to have work. It's just, how skilled are you? So that you can keep getting work? Right? So what am I willing to do to get there? How much time do you have? Be honest with yourself. Write it out. How much time do you have? All right. Number 2, what drives you to become a certified hand therapist? Write that down. Somebody write that in the chat, so that your neighbor could see it, so the next person can see it. Is what drives you? Because you need that drive in order to keep you going, right? So what's your drive? What's your motivating factor? Write it down, because you need to come back to that, to remind yourself when things are hard, when things are challenging, when you don't understand things, or when you're tired and you don't want to study anymore. What drives you? Now, I asked a question the other day, and it was like, do you want to be the best therapist? So that might be your driver, right? That might be your driver, to be the best. Now there are a small handful of very honest people, which I so appreciate, said I'm okay being okay. I don't need to be the best. But I bet you anything, you might still want to become a certified hand therapist. And one of the reasons why you might want to become a certified hand therapist is because you're going to have more choices in your career. Like, who is with me on this one? If when you're a certified hand therapist, you have more choices in your career. You are more sought after. Let's be honest, right? You are sought after. And you also get to pick and choose your setting, like where you want to ultimately work, right? Do you want to work in an outpatient setting? It could be a hospital-based outpatient setting. It could be a private outpatient setting. It could be in a more chain-like factory of an outpatient setting, but it's still outpatient, right? It could be a physician-owned outpatient setting. It could be your own outpatient setting. Hello, is one of my most motivating drivers, not to only be the best, but because I knew I wanted to do something on my own one day, and I wanted to become a certified hand therapist because it is a marketing tool. And really, if you think about it, we are always our own marketing tool. So even the therapists who choose to work here, and I'm a big fan. Like, you choose to work here, but at some point you want to do it really more for yourself than for anyone else, because you'll have the skills to be able to go anywhere and market yourself anyhow, right? So it's a great marketing tool. If you have your own business, like, please, like, you can ask for more money in terms of, if you're working with insurance contracts, you can really sell yourself at a higher level, because you're a certified hand therapist. I've had people in my program who are business owners, and it really helps to market yourself. I had a physical therapist who, he didn't need to become a certified hand therapist. He just wanted to become a certified hand therapist because he had his own business and he could hire other people. But he wanted himself to have that special credentialing as well, to be able to see and treat certain types of patients in his clinic. So, you want to keep that top of mind. I'm a big pen and paper kind of person. I believe in writing it out, because when you write it out, it's pen to paper, and it's pen to brain, right? It makes that connection from your hand to your brain. So it'll remind you, you could take a look at it again, but that's the second one. It's like, what am I willing to do to get there? And if that's the thing that drives you, because you want to to have your own clinic one day, to be considered the best, to work in a particular setting, to be able to ask for more money. It doesn't have to be later. It could be right now. You can ask for more money, minus my own staff. No kidding. We have a deal. Calm down. Calm down. No, I'm kidding. But really, write those things down because they're important to you, right? And don't lose sight of what's important, because it's easy to lose sight when things are hard and you're busy and you're treating like a shit ton of patients, right? So then you have to be honest with what's getting in the way. Be honest with yourself. What's getting in the way? Like, you want to do the thing that gets you there, but what's getting in the way? So if you're honest with yourself, sometimes the thing that's getting in the way is the reading. Maybe it's too much reading and you can't get through it by yourself. Be honest. Maybe you're reading and you don't understand. Do you know that you don't have to do it by yourself? Do you know that you don't have to memorize everything, right? Do you know that you can get help so that you can go faster, especially if you don't have a lot of time? Like, I don't know about anybody, but there's, we're all working on the same 24 hours, but, it doesn't matter if we have kids, don't have kids. We just don't have that much time. We're living in a very busy world. And besides, you want to have fun. You want to just enjoy it. Like, I'm a big fan of making sure that even if you're studying for the exam, even when you're doing something difficult, you still enjoy the ride. Still enjoy the ride. Still enjoy the journey. It's that important, right? It makes the difficult things easier to live with, right? It takes away the overwhelm. So once you answer those questions, then we can go back to how do you create this plan to study for the CHT exam without the overwhelm? So once you answer those questions, then it's going to be easier to set the plan. So the third thing that you're going to do is you're going to set the plan. So if you're trying to do it in 3 months, well, that's going to cause you a ton of overwhelm. So if you're just like, I'm going to wait and to join your program to start studying in August, Hoang, so I'm going to take the exam in November, that's going to cause you a lot of overwhelm. We're talking about creating a plan that helps you not to be overwhelmed. So my recommendation is like, can we set it in 6 months? And that's going to be your November 2022, right? That's going to be November of 2022. So set your plan. That's about 6 months away. The other thing that you could do is set your plan for May of 2023. If you're thinking May of 2023, then you're going to reduce that overwhelm by even more because you're giving yourself more time. And in order to cut the overwhelm, I'm a big believer in chunking things down. You can chunk your time, and you can also chunk your materials and your topics. And so once you create that plan in your mind of like, I want to take it in November of 2022, then you set that plan. So let's see what that plan needs to look like, right? So let's go over the questions that we're gonna do there. Anything over 12 months, like don't even lie to yourself. Don't even bullshit yourself. You're not gonna start studying, because the minute you pick up the book, if you're anything like a normal person, right? We're all like, I'm the same, you're the same. We're all regular people. That if it's too far, it's like really hard to just stay consistent. You can still learn. I took plenty of different courses. A certain diagnosis came in. I would learn about that particular diagnosis so I could treat better. Doesn't mean I was studying for the exam. If you're not going to be consistent about it, like stop BSing yourself, because you're going to study something and 6 months later you're going to come back and you're like, oh shit, I forgot the thing that I studied, right? Let's be honest, right? Today's the honest day. So schedule yourself. So again, believer in chunking of time and chunking of topics. So let's say we have 6 months, we're going to chunk up our topics, right? So chunk up your topics, and then from those chunks, you can chunk it down into hours, into weeks, anything like that will make it more doable for you, right? Now, one of the things that I like to do is, if it's a 12-month plan, I like to create what I call like a cadence of your studying, so that you can have a time where you study really hard, right? And then you slow down a little bit so that it can give you some ease, and then you spike it back up. So you set yourself a cadence. It's very hard to study so hard for 12 months. Like it really is. Some people, you might find that you create your own natural cadence, but inside the hand exam prep program, I set the cadence for you. And one of the reasons why I do that is to give you and provide you structure. Because 3 months before the exam, you want to study hard to get to that schedule, to get to that point where you feel great about the amount of information you've studied and obtained, and like that you've understood concepts, but you memorize certain key words and definitions, let's say, right? And then if you take it, for some people, they're on the long plan with me. So I welcome you. If you're thinking of May of 2023, I invite you to book a call with me. I'm going to include the link. You can book a call with me, and we can set that cadence. We can set that plan for you and let you know what that might look like. And I would invite you as well, if you're studying for the November of 2022 exam, that you could book a call and we can set what that cadence looks like for you. And it really does depend on what you've already been doing, what resources you have, where your experience lies, where it will help to determine, do I do it in November or do I do it in May? All right, do I do it in November? Do I do it in May? So I have a couple of, assessment questions that I ask to kind of help you determine at the pace, like, let's be realistic, so that we can get you the success that you're hoping for. I've had some people in this last program, they came in, they were like, I want it to be in May, but I'm not sure I'm open to going to November. And then as we went through the 6-month program, they were like, okay, I'm dead set. I can do it in May. And they did it in May, right? And some people, they were like, I want to take it in November, and they're right on track for their November date. So these are some of the questions, and then there's even more questions just based on what you're willing to do, right? What you're willing to do, what your schedule looks like, so that it can be realistic, and so that you're not overwhelmed, right? So after you scheduled out per topic and per month and per week, take a look at your resources that you're going to be using. Which books and resources are you using? And that would be helpful. I have some people who are like, I'm studying from like Pedretti books, and that's not specific enough for hand therapy. Sorry, get some new books. Cannot study off of your old OT books is not enough. The anatomy that you learn in school is not the same anatomy that you need to know as a certified hand therapist. It's not that your bone arms have changed or muscles have changed. It's applied anatomy that you have to understand so that you can apply it to the different diagnoses, the different types of injuries. And so you got to make sure you have the right resources. And then there's other programs out there that there's a lot of do-it-yourself types of programs. Get the PowerPoints, buy someone's notes, like all of that good stuff. I'm a really big fan of writing your own notes because that's going to help you remember things. And the key thing about the exam is it's not like you're not sitting in front of somebody recalling stuff. You're really not. You're reading questions in a way that tests how you understand concepts, and then being able to make decisions about what you should be doing, not what you are doing, what you should be doing from a evidence-based practice, right? So it's how you're answering those types of questions, right? Does anyone have questions so far? You're basically, you want to draw a line in the sand when you're taking the exam. And then 2, you really have to be honest with yourself. What are you willing to do to get there? And so when you are there, on the third thing is like where we're setting that plan. So it really helps to know when you're going to take the exam, what resources do you have, and what resources are you willing to join or purchase, right? So some people can do it by themselves, like kudos to you, got your books, but do you have the right books? Ask yourself, do you have the right books? The right resources can be different for different people, right? They can be for different people. The people who join the hand exam prep program, they want to come into a program that is not do-it-yourself. This is not a do-it-yourself program. It's a done-with-you program. So you got to do some stuff. I'm going to do some stuff. And we're going to give you some structure, right? Give you some structure in terms of when to do it, how to do it, and stuff like that, right? It's going to, allow you to learn in a different way. So it's not just one-dimensional of reading. It's visual, it's kinesthetic, it's auditory. So there's a lot of different ways in which you can learn if you're somebody who needs to learn a little bit differently. So think about your resources and like what you have at your disposal and what you're willing to get as well to help you so that you can actually meet your plan, right? And if you have any questions about the hand exam prep program and how that program might help you to study, to kind of get you focused, to give you some structure and accountability so you can actually make it through those topics and have somebody who can answer your questions in a way that's very clear, concise, and immediate, then I can help you, and you can request to book a call. All right. So if you're on Instagram, go ahead, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. If you're on Facebook or YouTube. I'm going to provide some links below so you can just book a call as well, right? So those essentially are the 3 steps to create a plan that helps you to be able to take, to be able to study for the exam and have it be less overwhelming. All right, does that help? I hope that does. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. One thing that I always talk about, is with the people who join the program is they're willing, they're open, they're coachable, they want to learn. And that ultimately is like, I love working with people who are open, coachable, and they want to learn. They not only want to learn the concepts, but they want to learn it so they can become a better therapist. They want to learn it so they can actually apply it to their patients. They want to learn it so that they they can know how to answer these questions on the exam and really feel confident that they're picking the best answer, right? Because it really comes down to the best answer. On the exam, there's multiple things that you could do, just like in real life. There's multiple things that you could do, but there's one best way. And that's really important. That's you becoming a decision maker. That's you being like the certified hand therapist before you become the certified hand therapist. I hope that makes sense. You have to be that before you become that, right? So you have to think like one, so you can get on the exam and actually answer those questions in a way that allows you to pick the right answers. You only need 75. That's all you need. Let's not try to be perfect. Let's not try to be that A student, like at the university. We're not in the university. We are in real life adulthood now, right? ¿Qué pasó? Patients will only die. All right. So that is how you create a plan. So create that plan. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. If you're listening to this, send me a message. Send me an email, Hoang@handtherapysecrets.com. Let me know. What are your plans? What you doing? What you making time for? I am, I love helping other therapists. I love helping OTs and PTs become CHTs. I think it's I personally think it's a wonderful career. I think we've been doing, we went to school for a really long time for our degrees. And I think that if you came into this profession to help people, it's where it's at, man. Everyone's got 2 hands and 2 arms. There's somebody that you can help. If it's not your mom, your dad, your sibling, your friend, yourself, your coworkers, your patients, I mean, like everybody, everyone I meet. Like I promoted for my own clinic, what you see behind me. I promoted within my own community, but I think that if we have even more therapists everywhere in every community, like how many people can we help? How many people can we introduce to occupational therapy and certified hand therapy? Some people don't even know that existed, right? But we have an opportunity. To help people whether had surgery, not had surgery, but it requires you to really understand concepts of how your body functions normally, or what can essentially happen when something goes wrong, and then all the necessary steps in treatment. It's treatment that will get you. It is not memorizing shit. I'm gonna get off my soapbox. It really does come down to treatment, believe it or not, in every sense. So I hope that helps. And I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about some other stuff next time. If you have questions in the meantime, feel free to, if you're on Instagram, just shoot me a message, DM me. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave a comment, but I'll also include the link so you can request to book a call. All right, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Let's see if I can make sure I end this